Well, it's the unique thing about White Turf because it happened only in St Moritz, because we are the only horse race place on Earth on a frozen lake. And it started here because they thought we can combine skiing and horse racing together, and absolutely, because nobody hurts each other. So there are different lifestyle on Earth, and everybody has his place, and nobody does something bad to the other one, and it happens, and it can happen also in St Moritz. Everybody can enjoy himself. And as you mentioned, you can have your oyster, your caviar, your champagne, you can have your fresh beer and your famous St Moritz Bratwurst, and everything is okay. You have a seated area, you have a heated tent on a frozen lake, so under your seat is 44 meters of water, and you can sit there in a 22 degrees heated tent, and that's also quite expensive. And then you have your special area on the racetrack. Then you have the public, the public area. It's like if you can compare it to an airline. You have the first class, and you have the business class, and you have how we say crocodile class. It's like the same, and everybody's happy.
Welcome to Luxury on Air, where we explore the trends, innovations, and personalities defining and redefining the luxury industry.
Every year in February, over 30,000 visitors come together to watch international jockeys racing their thoroughbred horses over the frozen Lake St Moritz. What started already in 1907 as a pioneering sports event, the White Turf has developed into a staple event in the winter calendar of the high society. My guest, Thomas Walther, is the president of the White Turf board and has been responsible for the event since 2016. The family entrepreneur is also a fourth-generation hotelier in the area and knows St Moritz inside out. My name is Felicitas Morhart, and I'm excited to present you this new episode from Luxury on Air. Thomas, you have a very busy schedule, so thank you so much for taking the time for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Thomas, you just closed the curtain to the 118th edition of White Turf. What is your resume of this year's event, and can you share a little bit the facts and figures around this year's edition?
Well, what started with a big disappointment because we had to cancel the first weekend, and then we had two amazing weekends, and it's finished with a nearly record White Turf in numbers of visitors, in number of revenue. Now we're quite very, very happy. Oh. And after the White Turf, after the 118th is before the 119th. So it's everything. It's great, and we're quite happy to close our budget year. It closed end of June, and we look very good perspective for the next year.
Mm-hmm. So do you have constant growth in terms of your visitor numbers and sales numbers?
Yes, but now we reached a limit where we can't grow anymore because we are completely sold out in the VIP tent and also the public area. When we reached the 13,000 people on the Sunday afternoon, then we're quite on the limit.
Wow. I mean, St Moritz is not the easiest to reach place. I mean, this is quite an achievement to have all seats sold out for an event which is quite remote, right? But worldwide known. Let's take our audience a little bit back into the history of the event. So how did this all begin? How has it developed? And has it always been attracting the jet set, or is that also something that developed over the years?
Well, it started 1906 with the first race in town because there were a lot of English guests at that time, and they had nothing else to do because skiing was not so popular, not really invented at that time, or not as big as it is now. And they had the idea, why don't we go with the skis behind the horse and let them pull out us from St Moritz to Silverplan and back. And it was 1906, and then it started. And in 1907, they thought we can do the same on the lake. And so they had the first White Turf event on the lake, because English people are quite crazy about racehorses, and that's how it started.
Uh-huh. And I also read that this racing, I would say this form of racing called ski touring was also very much at the beginning of this race. So can you say a little bit more about this? Why is this so important, and why is this so specific for the white turf?
Well, it's the unique thing about White Turf, because it happened only in St Moritz, because we are the only horse race place on Earth on a frozen lake. And it started here because they thought we can combine skiing and horse racing together, and then they put some very crazy people behind the horses, because you have to be a little bit crazy to do this sport.
Yeah, that sounds quite dangerous, actually. And has ski touring now translated into other countries, or is that still something specific to Switzerland and St Moritz?
Well, it happened in other countries, but there is still a rider on the horse, the jockey and the horse. But the special thing we have here is there is no jockey, no rider on the horse. And only the driver is behind the horse, and that's special only here in St Moritz.
Mm-hmm. And what other races do you do? I mean, ski touring is one, right? But you do have more traditional races also. So can you explain a little bit more about the different competitions?
Well, we have the three classic horse race two classic horse race categories. We have the gallop, the normal horse race, and we have the trot. And then the third one is the skiing. Mm-hmm. But the other two are like all over the world. And only the trot, they have no wheels on the carriage. They have skis on the sulky, and that's the only difference.
Mm-hmm. That must be really fun to watch. Now, horse racing in itself is very much oftentimes related to a more elite audience, I would say. When you think of polo, for example, or horse races in general, we always attach that to people from high society watching, drinking a glass of champagne with it. Has it also always been the case in St Moritz, or started it off more as, just crazy sports people doing some fun race on the lake?
It has always been both of it, because St Moritz has always had a lot of famous luxury bling bling people, for the jet set people from all over the world. But we are still a little town in the Swiss mountains, and we have always had both parts. So, and this is very special also for the White Turf. It's for us also strategy, very important to be attractive for both parts. So we are not an event only for this category of people or only for this category. So we have the local family, we have very low prices for the local one, or for everybody. So kids till 16, they are free of charge. And then we goes up to the very expensive part in the VIP tent. So we want to be attractive for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I already read article described the White Turf as an event between jet set and folklore. So really the mix between champagne and oysters on the one hand, but beer and bratwurst on the other hand. So that is also on purpose, that you want to keep this inclusivity of both worlds?
Absolutely, because nobody hurts each other. So there are different lifestyle on Earth, and everybody has his place, and nobody does something bad to the other one, and it happens, and it can happen also in St Moritz. Everybody can enjoy himself, and as you mentioned, you can have your oyster, your caviar, your champagne, you can have your fresh beer and your famous St Moritz Bratwurst, and everything is okay.
Mm-hmm. And how do you deal with this from a business side? Because I can think that although everyone lets live each other, some parts of the visitors would like to have maybe a more tiered system of, you have your special seats, but you don't want to be forcefully mixed up with other people who paid less. So how do you deal with this in terms of your ticketing or in terms of the offers?
Well, we have a special area, it's the VIP area in our huge tents where we can serve about 1 million people. And they have a special catering. You have a seated area. You have a heated tent on a frozen lake. So under your seat is 44 meters of water, and you can sit there in a 22 degrees heated tent. And that's also quite expensive. And then you have your special area, your private area on the horse track, on the race track. And then you have normal stands outside, and then you have the public, the public area. It's like if you can compare it to an airline. You have the first class, and you have the business class, and you have how we say, a crocodile class, and everybody flies on the same plane, and somebody eats from a cheaper meal, and the other ones have, I don't know what they all have. So it's like the same, and everybody's happy.
Very interesting, the analogy to the airline. That makes sense. Can you think of other events that somehow use the same setup, like some other sports events, or is the White Turf really unique in that sense that they also orchestrated this whole event business around this high society sports event?
Well, I think it's for sport events, it's quite important to have all these different categories, because the VIP area is not only something to have fun and look at it, it's also a commercial part. So there we earn a lot of money, and it's like in the airlines, they earn the money in the first and the business class, not in the economy class, and that's the same in such big events. So then you have to have different kind of areas. And especially when you have a unique event, I think, for example, Lauberhorn or Hahnenkamm downhill races, they are also unique in the world. One is the longest one in Bernese Oberland, and the other one is in the dangerous one. And they also so special events, and I think they do more or less the same setup as we do.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting mix. Now that you say it, that it's a mix of adrenaline on the one hand, and on the other hand, probably also a place for doing business, right? Because many people also take their clients probably to these kinds.
Of course. And I think it's happened since a long time. So everybody, I think also big business deals, they were made maybe on a golf course, or maybe on an event, or maybe on a vacation trip. So it's not only they do the business not only in their offices, because they meet each other on a different place, and they experience something together and have a memory, an unforgettable memory. I think when you go to the Lauberhorn, or you go to the Hahnenkamm, you go to White Turf, then when we do it together, we have a memory. Not many people on the world can share this memory.
Yeah, that's adding a relational value, which
absolutely.
Talking about business, because the White Turf, of course, is a big opportunity probably for the rest of St. Moritz village. I'm just thinking about, I'm originally from Munich, so I have my experience with the Oktoberfest, and the whole city of Munich, and the whole Bavaria actually transforms during the Oktoberfest. So how does the village change or transform during the White Turf?
Well, it's because White Turf happened since 1907, so everybody knows in the area about White Turf. They went there with the grandparents, and the grandparents were already there, and there's not the local one who doesn't know the White Turf. So a lot of them work there as a volunteer, or they do other things. They have in the stores sometimes a special place where we can sell our merchandising product on it during this time. So it's quite it's White Turf season. You feel this, and then there's a lot of places, a lot of restaurants where our sponsors invite their guests, and they have some side events on different places. Then White them for ski tests, for example, on the mountains, or have a dinner someplace. And it's happened a lot of things behind the scenes in town.
Mm-hmm. And so let's say the clubs and also maybe boutiques, do they then offer also private events or maybe private sales for all the interesting clientele that you draw into St. Moritz, or is that something that stays apart?
Well, I think they do, but they don't really talk about. I heard this year one boutique has had to close at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they had nothing left in their boutique. But I don't know the name. I don't know, was it jewelry or was it clothes or something? And they had to close on a Friday 2 hours before because they ran out of stuff to sell.
Well, this is a luxury problem, right?
Oh, yes, that's a really luxury problem.
All right. Okay, so actually the whole draw of White Turf is also a huge economic benefit for...
Absolutely, yeah.
And maybe a side question, this is completely spontaneous now, but I heard the saying in Bavaria that we say in the mountains everyone is the same, meaning that, you know, no matter how rich you are, no matter what brands you wear, everyone eats the same, everyone shares the same place. So how is that in St. Moritz? Because obviously there are very wealthy people, but also locals or people who really grew up in the mountains. How do you see them living together and interacting together?
It's very interesting when you see when we have very typical restaurants, old restaurants, not fancy restaurants, but old ones, but they remain the typical old style. You see everybody there. You see the local people there. You see a billionaire, which you know the face from TV or from a newspaper, something. And it never has been a problem because the people, I can also say now for the Engadine area, they were always very open to the world because and that we can live so well in the mountains at our time. That is because of the international tourism, and it works really well, and everybody's happy with each other. And I see it in our hotels, or when I see it on the White Turf, I never saw that there is a problem from each or the other side.
That is actually amazing because I think last year and the year before there were these big demonstrations, especially in very hot countries like Spain, for example, where the local people really were upset about the masses of tourists coming in. So I think
but I think that's another topic because that's the over tourism, and we don't have this because we still have our season rhythm. And when you come in May, in the Engadine, I always say when you go to buy a newspaper, you can go naked because nobody sees you. There's nobody there. So, and then 2 months later, you have a huge amount of people. We have 16,500 people living permanently in this valley. And during the high season, we are 120,000 people. So we are growing from a town to the 5th biggest city in Switzerland in about a few days.
Wow.
And so we have both sides. And then we can live very well with a few weeks in the year where we have a lot of people here. And yeah.
So it's a craziness with limits, right? Because you know they're going away again. And I also found it very interesting that you said, like, especially also the restaurants, which are the most down to earth and most original ones, and maybe the least fancy, that they are actually also really attracting the people who could spend so much more, but they actually search the simplicity and the authenticity of the place. So why do you think they do this and don't, just want their special restaurants built for them, having fancy chefs and having fancy dishes?
Well, I can only speculate, but I think that's quite natural. So they have all this stuff, and also I like to have a glass of champagne, but although I don't need it 7 days a week, or 2 times a day. So when you have all this, and when you travel a lot, and when you see all these fine dining restaurants all over the world, and then you saw it once, and then maybe you like to have a fondue or bratwurst or something. It's also the opposite. When you have 5 days a week, you have the Bratwurst on the table, then maybe you dream also of a fine dining restaurant. But when you're living in such a luxury lifestyle where fine dining all over the world can be very more or less the same. If you have a nice fish in New York, you have the same fish in Dubai, you have the same fish in Hong Kong. Then maybe you like to have a spare rib in the States. You have maybe a nice schnitzel in Vienna, or maybe you have some very good cheese in Switzerland, and then you will feel the local things.
Yeah, that's very interesting. From the authenticity aspect, right?
Yeah, that's a big topic.
Yeah,
that's a very big topic.
Yeah, and then it's quite ironic, right? Because luxury has to do with scarcity or something which is rare, and then all of a sudden the most normal thing like a schnitzel or a bratwurst becomes luxury for the really rich people because they barely have it because they are so overloaded with these fancy dining opportunities.
Well, you can have schnitzel and schnitzel. It depends what kind of meat you take. Have you a very nice good meat? Have you cooked it well? So also the easiest thing, you can do them very nice or very bad. Take a plate of pasta. 30 seconds boiled too long, it's over. 30 seconds boiled or cooked too short, it's also over. So you need the right point. You need the right sauces. You need everything the right thing. And the easy things done well, I think that's the key.
That's a core insight. The easy things done well. That's probably also the most difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
And
the most authentic, and that's what people like to have.
But the Engadin has a specific mystique around, I would say. I mean, looking back into literature, also Thomas Mann with the Magic Mountain and the sanatoria, the medical tourism. So how come that St. Moritz is what it is today with this history, and how has it developed also for different generations of customers coming?
I think it's the unique thing. It's that we are on 1,800 meters above sea level, and we are quite an open valley. We have the lakes, and we are not such a close where you have the mountains on both sides and squeezing you. You think you're squeezed together. So we're quite open. We have a special light. The light is really special, especially in the late summer season when it's so clear. And then we are on the south of the Alps. It means we have a lot of sunshine. We have about 320 sunny days a year. So we are quite lucky about the sunshine. And then also the history, because we do tourism now since 150 years now, and everything which has a long history is attractive for people.
And what percentage of people actually do really ski in St. Moritz?
I think it's about 35% of all the guests.
Because, what do you guys do?
Well, that's the big thing. So we have the events, we have cross country, we have hiking and snow, we have what we don't have. So horse riding, we have everything. That's also why we are attractive for 3 generations, because you can meet your grandparents, you can go skiing, you can bring your kids to ski paradise, and you meet everybody for lunch, for example, and it's happened everywhere. So when you compare to Zermatt, when you don't ski, you don't go to Zermatt, and because it's a top ski area, absolutely. And maybe I think there's nothing better in Europe. And but when you don't ski, you don't go to Zermatt.
Yeah,
and in the Engadin, you can do also skiing.
Oh, okay. So it's actually not a ski resort in the first place, but a mountain resort that you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking about Verbier, for example, I mean, whenever you're in Verbier, it goes up. There's no way off. Yeah, that is the
Verbier. It's the same.
Yeah.
And here we have, I don't know how many 100 kilometers cross country. You can do winter hikes flat. You can walk over the lakes in winter. You can do everything.
And in terms of internationality, have you any specific customer groups that have discovered St. Moritz for them in specific? So oftentimes there are these resorts where say, oh, the Dutch people go there, all the English people go there. So is St. Moritz known for a specific group of customers?
I don't know the statistics now by heart, but I think it's now very, very international. So America is very strong, Europe, of course, Brazil is growing. Sometimes during the winter, the Middle East. So it's very, very international. But I can't tell you now if there is a nationality or country which is now by far number one.
We're slowly coming to an end, but there is one question I cannot keep to myself, which is, of course, about the future. So you have been leading the White Turf now since 2016, hopefully for many more years to come. So what do you see on the horizon? What are the relevant trends that you identify for the future of White Turf, but also for St. Moritz as a tourism destination?
Big trends. There are a lot of big things, and what now everybody's talking about is sustainability. This is a very important thing, but I always mention the sustainability. Don't cut it too short only on the environment thing. Only keep in mind the economic thing and the social part. So this is for us very, very important. Because if you're not so strong in one, be strong in the other ones. And tourism for itself, it's not very sustainable if you think how you fly or how you travel around the world. So then be more sustainable on the other parts. So use local products, give good jobs to local people, be a good entrepreneur that everybody can pay his taxes and all these things, build opportunities for young people, educate them, and it's the same importance as only to be on an electric vehicle, which is also demanding. It's also not so clean as everybody mentioned. So I think that's a very interesting topic and the most important thing. And what happened in the future with global warming and all this stuff, we talk a lot about this. I don't know, I can handle it. So when the lake freezes, then it's good. And when the lake is not frozen, then we have a problem. We do it next year. For sure, what you can say, it was in the 30s and in the 60s was twice in history where the lake was not frozen. And otherwise, it always happened in 118 years. Sometimes you have to cancel one day because of the weather conditions. But the lake till now was frozen. What happens in 20 years, we both know.
Yeah,
don't know.
Having new ideas about adapting to the climate change. And also in terms of the offer, do you see demands of customers for, other offers, other products, maybe other culinary products which go more with, healthy eating or so is there anything you see on the customer side?
Well, what is see more is we want to give a platform for producers of these products or of cooks who want to present them, and then they will see if there is a market for them on this special event. But we are not close and say we only sell bratwurst and the oysters. So we also sell, when you come and say we have a new product, we are some new young chefs, we like to try something. Then we always try to give them a stage where they can improve themselves and bring their products, and then we see how it reacts, and our experience is that it works very well because it's interesting also for them, because they have international guests, they have the local guests, they have the international guests, and they have a big stage where they can present themselves. And we are here to open doors for new things.
Yeah, and that leads me to the last question, because you say you also give stage to young talents and to new talents. Like, what about the young generation? Because horse racing is a pretty, let's say, traditional sport. Is that something getting old for young people, or does that still work with the new generation?
Well, when you see globally, I think it works with it because it is still something. It's adrenaline. It's like a little bit. It's a race with horses. It started by the Romans. think about Ben Hur, the races, and why you go to a ski race. Everybody hopes nothing happens, but when somebody crashes, everybody it's still this mix to see the heroes do something. You go to Formula One race events or car events, and then when it crashes, everybody think, I hope nothing happens, but why you go there? So it's also this. I think there's always it happens, because I think horse races, they happen since we live on this planet. We had horses, and it's part of some cultures. So in England, in New Zealand, in the Asian area, horse race, they're crazy about this.
So
I think there will be a future.
Yes, emotion and competition and play get old.
Of course.
Thomas, thank you so much for the time you made for us in your busy schedule. You're already in preparation for the 119th edition, we heard. So we wish you all the best for that. A lot of cold temperatures. So
Not yet, but starting in November.
And we're really looking forward. I hope to make it to St. Moritz for the 119th. And with that, I let you free to your busy schedule. And thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me, and have a nice day.
If you want to know more about the White Turf and the team around Thomas Walther, you will find additional information in our show notes of this episode. Until very soon, stay tuned and take care.
Thank you for listening to Luxury on Air with Corinne Seghetti and Felicitas Morhart. This podcast is provided to you by Deloitte Switzerland and the Swiss Center for Luxury Research. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can leave us a 5-star review. If you're keen to stay up to date on what's trending in the luxury industry, don't forget to subscribe. As always, you can find more information about the current episode in the show notes. We wish you all the best. Until next time.